In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to pitch a feature film to your investors, whether it's a government company, a government body, or a private investor. I'm going to go through my own process, my experience. Maybe you'll learn something and maybe you'll pick up a few tips or two. So what's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Lungile. Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about a pitch that I had to investors here in South Africa. I had an opportunity to pitch to a government body called IDC. Basically, they offer film loans for film productions, fiction projects, documentary projects, and basically, as soon as I learned about that opportunity, I went to the website. I learned as much as I can about what they need, and then I proceeded to prepare for the pitch. So I sent them an email, which was like booking a pitch spot for 10 minutes. That's how much time to offer you. You have only 10 minutes to pitch a project to them, and then they'll refer back to you in 2 weeks whether they'll give you the funds or not. Okay, so I was excited. I went to their website, looked at the documents, and then I realized they want a script, logline, project info, synopsis. They want a marketing plan, list of the team, a production schedule for pre-prod, production, and post, marketing plan, and a distribution plan, and a film recoupment plan. So it was quite a lot of stuff. So what I did is I consolidated my film script first. This was a feature film script, a revenge thriller film, and I had written it, so it was done. So what I did is I broke down the script. I did a script breakdown, I did call sheets, I did a shooting schedule, and all these things helped me form my budget. So I knew that I needed one location, I needed 6 actors, I needed to shoot for 8 days, and then I made a list of the equipment that I need, and then I got quotes for the equipment in terms of how much it's going to cost to hire per day. And for 8 days I got a quote for crew, with all the crew members that I'm going to need, how much I'm going to pay them for all those 8 days. So from your makeup person, your wardrobe person, DP, etc., etc. Transport services, catering. I got a quote for the location, how much it's going to cost to shoot 8 days. And then I got a quote for production insurance. And when I got to that was like super hectic because the form that they sent to you is so long. They want to know where the equipment is going to be stored during the shoot or when it's not shooting, and when it's not shooting, when you're not shooting, where is that equipment going to be stored, what car are you going to be using to transport that equipment, and how are actors and crew going from home to the production. So production insurance obviously insures the production in case anyone dies, anyone gets injured, in case there's an accident, so you can cover people's cars. So all that stuff. So another thing, I got a quote for a completion guarantee, which is basically insurance for the production. So completion guarantee insurers, so they are the people that make sure that you finish the film, and they help investors feel at ease that you are committed to making this film, and you have insurance and a completion guarantee, so that whether you don't finish the film for some ungodly reason, they know they can get their money back from the completion guarantee insurance company. So yeah, got the insurance code, completion guarantee code, and I had to get codes for designers and animators because I have a bit of animation in the film. I had to get a code for equipment, and then also an audio mix. So from doing sound, like sound editing, dialogue editing, ADR, mixing, having a stereo down mix, having a 5.1 surround sound mix. So a 5.1 sound mix is basically a mixed version of your film that is for cinema, because cinema movies play in 5.1. Usually when you hear a car behind you in the cinema, that's 5.1 surround sound, so you kind of hear it as if it's behind you. So it's mixed to make you to immerse you in the experience and the film and the story and all of that. And then I got a code to make a DCP, which is a digital cinema package. So basically it's just like a a format in which movies are delivered to cinemas so they can be projected, and also some festivals also want you to submit a DCP. So this is the finished product of the film. Obviously I'm not done yet, but I need to know how much these things cost, how long they take, etc, etc. So I got the code of making a DCP, sound mix, graphics, equipment, location, crew, cost. So it's a lot. I'm making this whole list, and from that I compile the budget. Now I know how long I'm shooting for, what all these things are in the budget, and I'm ready to go to the pitch. I'm psyched, you know. So I made a synopsis, pitch, log line. I make a small treatment. I make a pitch deck that I run through over and over, and I make sure that I can say everything in 10 minutes. Because the pitch is only 10 minutes, okay? So I'm ready to go to pitch the IDC. I'm double checking everything. Oh, they also want a finance plan. That's one thing they want. They want to know how much you need and where you're gonna be getting money from for the production. So for instance, you could say like you're gonna get 50% from investor X, and 49% or 20%, 20%, and then you only want 10% from them. So it's kind of like, that's what a finance plan is, basically where you're gonna get the money from, because the IDC only funds 51% of your production. So the other 49%, you have to get it from other people. So in my instance, I deferred my producer fees. I was going to edit the film, I deferred my editing fee, so I add them to the budget. So basically when I compile the finance plan, it's like from the 51% and when I get from the IDC, my contribution is my deferred fees that I'm not going to get paid for the script, the editing, and the directing, and the producing. So all these things were added to the finance plan to showcase that I am also spending towards the production. Even using my own edit suite, I am spending towards the production. So, you know, using my edit suite, it costs like $4,000 a day to hire edit suite. So I calculate how many days I'm going to take to edit the film, 2 months or whatever. How much does that amount to? You know, and add that to the finance plan and the budget, you know. Okay, so I did the finance plan, I did the marketing plan, how we're gonna market the movie, the distribution plan, and the film recoupment plan. So this is how you can get the money back. So we had the plan to have the film at theaters, selling VOD rights, selling broadcasting rights to TV, ancillary rights, which we can sell to airlines and stuff like that. So and also we plan to have an academic tour so that we can have screenings all around the country to try recoup the funds and sell merch. So it's just different ways on how we're gonna make the money back. So because you know it needs to be clear. And also we created some sales projections in terms of the theatrical run. We looked at similar movies in South Africa, how much they made, from the worst to the best to the mid, and then put that into the presentation so that we can present to the investors like these are the projections in terms of how much we think the movie can make. Okay, cool. So I did all that planning, right? And then finally the day comes. I've been practicing, I'm psyched. I'm like, drive there, you know, I get my car, drive there, I get there, I'm all dressed up, suited up, bearded down, like, you know, I'm looking all good. I get there, and then, you know, they tell me, okay, listen, you got 10 minutes to pitch. Finally, like, going, there's a whole other producers that are gonna pitch there. So I'm like, ooh, okay, this is intimidating, but I try to be like calm and go in there. As soon as I get in there, they're like, yo, listen, we don't really care much about the story. We just wanna know how you're gonna make the money back. And I'm like caught off guard because, you know, I really have everything in my mind planned, like in terms of the presentation. And then I'm like, you know what, just roll with it. So, I go in there and I go through the story quickly, boom, boom, this is a story, this is a genre, this is what's happening, and then this is what the production budget is, the marketing strategy, the distribution strategy, and the film recruitment plan, and the finance plan. So I go through everything. And after I have my presentation, I think I finished in like 5 to 7 minutes because I was probably like super nervous. And they're like, yeah, you know, you gave us such a great presentation, but you just did one thing majorly wrong. We only fund productions that are from 2 million rand. And I'm just like shocked, dude. I'm like, what? That's probably like you know, was like a fault on my part. but like I was just like shocked because my budget amounted to 1.5. So they only fund movies that are from like 2 million, and that 2 million can be 51% of the production budget. So you can imagine how, yeah, I got it wrong. So they say, oh, we love your enthusiasm, you look like you know what you're doing. Oh, also they tell me to have script coverage. So I'm just like, no, what's that? And they're like, oh, you need to get script coverage. So because the business people, they don't deal with story, you need to go to like another government body like the NFVF, get script coverage and get feedback from your script. So script coverage is basically when you send your script to be rated in terms of story and originality, characters, and then you get feedback in terms of like story 70%, character 50%, you know, things like that. I know it's very technical, but it sucks. But I mean, that's what they wanted. They want you to have script coverage, and that's one thing I didn't have. And another thing they told me is that they needed me to speak to a sales agent and a distributor to give me like a reputable sales agent and distributor who's distributed here in this country and other territories, to give a realistic sales projections, because some filmmakers tend to thumb suck the sales projections and they want concrete, they want to hear it from the distributors, you know. So that's another thing that I didn't do right. So that was like a hard lesson, and I, you know, obviously learned it, that, you know, next time, you know, before I go to pitch to an investor, I need to know, speak to a sales agent, speak to a distributor and say, this is my project, what do you think this project is worth? So that when I go to investors, I can say, I've spoken to the sales agent and this distributor, I say this film is worth this much and I need this much to make it. So it kind of gives you leg when you're negotiating. And yeah, it was like a really hardcore kick to the gut, but I learned a lot. I'm happy that I went there, and I think, yeah, I mean, you learn a lot about the film business, because like you think that, oh, everything's about story and being artsy, but like film is a business, so you have to learn the business of film, you know, to be a better filmmaker. So so yeah, so I left there with like my tail between my legs after preparing so much, you know, but I learned some things, and criticism is good. So, and also I can always go back, so I am planning to go back, but with a more solid plan. So what happened is I started speaking to a distributor, and they were asking me, do you have like a name director, name cast, and all these things, just like kept on piling up all these things I needed to tick off in order to get financing. So at first, like, I have to have a killer story, killer cast, killer director. I'm an unknown director, so like that's also not really a great thing when you're speaking to a sales agent. And the sales agents I spoke to, it was like, yeah, we don't really work with like first-time directors, first-time filmmakers, and they sent me this long-ass form to fill in so that they could potentially see if they can help me with sales projections for my project. So I just like, ugh. Maybe I'll go back someday, but maybe I'm just taking it in, you know. And maybe another thing I realized, I still need to speak to distributors. Another thing I learned after the pitch is that there's something called a distribution waterfall. This is so important for filmmakers to know, because what a distribution waterfall is basically a description of how money from the film will be distributed against all the investors. So the order in which you'll be paid and the percentages for each and every person involved in the project. So for instance, a basic distribution waterfall is like when the movie makes 10 million worldwide, whatever, global sales or whatever that amount is, you know, from that money, the distributor will pull their P&A cost, which is print and advertising costs, and then they will also subtract the distribution fee. They will also subtract the minimum guarantee that they've probably given to the filmmaker, if they give you a minimum guarantee for distributing a film. After that, your sales agent will get like 15 to 20% of that money, and then your investors need to get their money back plus 20%. 15 to 20% to 15 to 50 to 30%, and then you have that money gets distributed into like your cost, crew, deferred fees. Sometimes it's residuals in different countries, and then only then the producer's fee. So it's like such a long road from like making the movie, getting financing, getting distribution, getting a sales agent, and doing all the stuff. And then once the movie makes money, it's like a pizza that's sliced up, and then first it's the distributor gets the money, then it's the sales agent, then it's, you know, so even the sales agent will charge you for like their admin costs and going around and selling your film to different territories. So usually that amount will have a cap if it's in your deal, but it's like things that you need to know about, you know, when you are distributing a film. So these are the things that are cool to know. Also, when you speak to an investor and say, this is, once we've made the money, this is how the money is going to be paid back in terms of that distribution waterfall. It's going to go to distributor, sales agent, then finally go to the investors, and then they can get their 20%, their recoupment plus 20% back. And usually this process goes from like 12 to 18 months. So all these things, it's like good to know. So that when you are pitching, you speak to your investors and say, this is how the film business works. You know, because also there's still the rights to broadcasting, there's, you know, ancillary rights, VOD rights, you know, so there's a lot of things to like think about. But that's, I know this is a lot, but I just wanted to tell you guys how to pitch to your investors and how to think of your film as a business and your film project as a business, and how it's going to generate money, how it's going to make money. Hope this has been really helpful. I like to make these videos because I also get to process what I've learned and obviously help you guys. And if you have any questions, please drop a comment below and let me know what you guys think. If you have suggestions, questions, I'd love to hear from you guys. So until next time, please hit that subscribe button, the like button, and even that bell button so you can be notified every time I put out a new video.